Yo, what is going on YouTube? It's your boy Corn Forcer Mid here, and today we're going to be doing the PMU draft analysis. PMU stands for Pokemon Masters United. This is a Gen 6 league played on ORAS Wi-Fi since the servers are still up and everybody's getting kind of tired of Gen 7, so we thought it would just be fun to play on Gen 6 since a lot of people haven't played on Gen 6 before or it has been years since we have last played on it. So we thought it would just be fun. A lot of people are uploading this season. It's really great community, a lot of friends. So I'm really excited to show you my draft. So I had 8th pick overall. You can already see I have Mew, but I had 8th pick overall. I'm 8th out of 16th, so I'm in the exact middle. So it isn't the greatest, but it could be worse. Picks that went before me were like things like a Megalop, Jirachi, Garchomp. Landorus Incarnate was Sheer Force, which is insane. Talonflame, Weavile. And then I wanted Victini because Victini is one of my favorite mons. But Silver Smasher sniped the pick before me, which was unfortunate, but I'm still excited to have Mew. Like the original Pixie Pokemon, based 100 across all stats. Gets literally every team in the game. It can be like, it literally just does everything. It gets Calm Mind, Bulk Up, Nasty Plot, Rock Polish. Gets every team, so it has every coverage move you would ever need. It can be physically defensive, specially defensive, Stall Breaker. It can just do so much that your opponent can't prep for it. It's just amazing. But I wanted to build this team to where Mew doesn't have to be brought bulky every week. It can be brought offensive. It can do a multitude of things. So, as you see as I'm going through this draft, I'm trying to pick mons that do well with Mew to where it can be offensive every week. So it just doesn't have to be defensive like I said, because the biggest problem with Mew is that people won't draft around it the greatest, and it'll be stuck defensive every week when it has all that offensive potential. So, yes, as I've said multiple times, I've drafted Mew round 1. Not my Z move user because there is no Z moves in ORAS. So, next one I picked, Sylveon in Tier 2, which I think is insane because in most leagues back in Gen 6, Sylveon was Tier 1. But I'm getting it in Tier 2, which is insane. It gives me a great specially defensive mon, another wall breaker with choice specs, hyper voice with pixelite, because in this gen it's 30%, not 20% like it is in Gen 7. Another great mon, gives me a wish passer, gives me a heal bell user. This thing can really, if my opponent does not have a good steel type, I can just spam hyper voice each attack, and it just does wonders. So, I love Sylveon. I love it in Gen 7. So, I'm hoping that 10% increase with Hyper Voice helps it even more. So, yeah. Next one I drafted is a pretty good classic of mine. It's the boy, Goodra. Goodra is another specially defensive one. It loves the Assault Vest. It can be physical, special, bulky. It does just a few things, but what it does do, it does extremely well. It also gives me a grass type switch in because it has Sap Sipper. And if a mon hits me with a physical move and I have Gooey, it'll lower their speed. So that's insanely good. I'm really loving the bulk in between these picks, but I really just need to fix the speed tiering because it goes 100 with Mew, 80 with Goodra, and then I believe 60 or 65 with Sylveon. I know it's one of those two, but I'm just loving this team. Sylveon gives me a Wish Passer for Goodra because Goodra has no reliable recovery, and the only way you can get recovery is with berries or leftovers. So, and you don't really want to run leftovers with Goodra just because it is so much better with that Assault Vest. It gives you that great, specially defensive kind of mon. You can just take so many different hits, and it just is amazing at what it does. I remember when Adrive picked it up, and NPA Season 3, and then he went undefeated. So maybe I can go undefeated with Goudreau too, just because it is such a great mon. Because you just look at its raw stats alone. I really need to pull that up. So just give me like 5 seconds. But Goudreau is such a good mon. It has 90 HP, 100 attack, 70 defense, which is extremely low. But with Mew there, it's fine. 110 special attack, which is really good. 150 speed def and then 80 speed. So if I want to, I can just run Choice Specs Draco Meteor. And if they don't have a fairy type left around, or if they do and I just go for Sludge Wave, this thing can wall break, and Goudreau's amazing. So next one I drafted, my boy Gliscor. This thing gives me a Stealth Rocker, a Defogger, U-Turn, Pivot. So now Mew and Gliscor have some pivoting on this team. What stinks is I can't run Toxic or Poison Heal when I have Defog, just because it's some weird thing from Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum to where you can't run Defog because there was no hidden abilities left. Not left. So Gliscor is really amazing. This thing can even wall break with Swords Dance and Rock Polish, and then like Mono EQ with Roost. So I'm hoping to get a few sweeps in with Gliscor. They come in thinking I'm like defensive or whatever, but I'm really just offensive, ready to click some buttons and kill some things. So yeah, I'm extremely excited to use Gliscor. It gives me a Stealth Rocker, as I said, to where I don't have to rely on Mew. And even though I can't run Poison Heal, Toxic Orb, it still has Roost, so it doesn't lose out on recovery. So next one is the boy best Defogger in Empoleon. This thing helps me with my Fairy Dragon Steel Core, because I now have just completed it. This thing has 84 HP, 86 attack, 88 defense, 111 special attack, 101 speed def, and 60 speed. So that's extremely good. Extremely defensive. Mew and Empoleon work really well together because with the steel typing in Empoleon, it wants to take the dark types and the ghost types Mew don't want to take. And Mew doesn't care to take the fighting type hits Empoleon doesn't want to take. So you can see how I still have this defensive synergy between a lot of my mons. They want to take the hits that they themselves can't take and just want to help each other out. Sylveon with Empoleon is really good because Sylveon gives me the Wish Pass support for Empoleon. Man, I really can't speak today. It's just Empoleon looks really great on this team. It gives me another Stealth Rocker, so Gliscor and Mew don't always have the pressure on it. Empoleon, I feel like, will always be running some sort of like super effective damage reduction berry, just because that's how I like to roll. And if my walls don't have reliable recovery, I just like to give them those kind of berries and items. So yeah, Empoleon's great. Gives me that water type, so I'm starting my Fire Water Grass Core, and then with the steel typing, as I said before, it finishes off my Fairy Dragon Steel Core. So next one I'm drafting is Porygon 2. Another bulky mon, but this thing can be so offensive at the same time. Let me find it on Smogon. With 85 HP, 80 attack, 90 defense, 105 special attack, 95 speed def, and 60 speed. This thing is just amazing. The only way you can deal with this thing is with Toxic, Taunt, or Fighting type moves. It will take anything other than that. It'll Toxic Stall you, it can T-Wave you, it can Tri Attack you, it has Bolt Beam, has Foul Play if you try to set up on it physically. So I love Porygon 2. I love my Rubber Ducky. It's just a great mon, and I'm just really excited to see how it works this season. I'm starting to look a little knockoff weak outside of Sylveon and Empoleon. A good fighting type kind of runs through my team here, but I'm hoping with my later picks that I can deal with them better, have some better walls for them, and things like that. So next one I got was Ditto. I love Ditto. It's one of my mons I have drafted the most out of any league. I just love that it makes your opponent change how they prep. I felt like my team was like getting set up weak, so I wanted Ditto to force my opponents to where they couldn't bring setup. Just because if they do set up, I have a Ditto that will come in, beat Choice Scarf, outspeed them, have all their boost, and just kill the rest of their team. There's not much to say about Ditto, but it'll keep its HP stat, but no other stat. I feel like it's a good mon, but it's undervalued sometimes, just because it's hard to use in some occasions. Because you think it'll have a good matchup, but then when you bring it, it doesn't do much. But I feel like that I know how to use Ditto well enough to where it's not a bad mon. So, I love me some Ditto. I love me some Mystique. And I'm excited to see how many kills it gets this season as other mons. So, next one I drafted, I was so surprised that it lasted this long. Jolteon. This thing lasted to around 8, when this is a generation that doesn't have many electric types. This thing helps me with my speed tiers from 130 to 100, so I still have that gap in between, but it makes it to where my highest base speed tier isn't 100, so this thing will outspeed most of the metagame outside of Choice Scarfers, and if I want to, I can run Flame Orb, Quick Feet, which is insane. This gives me a fast electric type that you always want on a team, because if they don't have a ground type, you can just spam T-Bolt and Volt Switch and just get momentum around. It usually uses the same moves every week, like Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, Shadow Ball, Signal Beam, then the hidden powers. You won't really see much outside of that, but it's good at what it does. And I really love Jolteon. It's a great mon, and I'm excited to see how it does on this team. So, next one I'm bringing, well, not bringing, but drafted, Mega Steelix. I know it's a little redundant with Napoleon, but I felt like they were different enough, and I wanted some low tier power. I wanted to use them on I have never used before, because everything else on this team I've used at least once, but I've never used Mega Steelix before. And this thing's just a beast, as Wolfie Glick showed us in VGC, I believe 18. With 75 HP, 125 attack, and then 230 defense. That is insane. You won't even have to be invested to take a bunch of physical hits. You can run specially defensive and still have a lot of defense. With 95 speed def and 30 speed. This gives me another stealth rocker. It gives me a phaser with roar. It gives me another ground type to Paraglide score. So electric type mons can't just run HP ice to get rid of my ground type. I'll have a Mega Steelix right there that can take it. This thing, it's just so offensive while being defensive at the same time. Almost at the same team, but I meant at the same time. I really just love how this team is coming together. The only thing I don't like is that it doesn't have a good breaker so far. So, yeah, that's basically the only problem I have with this team. But at this point, the draft pool is getting really limited. After Gen 7 added so many viable mons, it's hard going back to Gen 6 when there's so many less mons. So you just have to, prep in a whole different way. You have to draft in a whole different way. Because you can't... Because, things like Cbhulk, great Tier 3, low Tier 2 in Gen 7. But without Z moves, it's barely worth a Tier 3 in my opinion. Just because with the 90 attack and special attack, it doesn't hit very hard. So, yeah, Mega Steelix, great budget pick in my opinion. Gives me 40 points, which I really love. So, another mon I got was Ambipom. It gives me a speed tier between Jolteon and Mew. So it goes 130 with Jolteon, 115 with Ambipom, and then 100 with Mew, which I felt like was extremely great. Not every team has a good normal type switch-in, so I can run Choice Band, Tail Slap, or Return, then knock off U-Turn and some other move. Ambipom is underrated. It can be a good nasty plot user with like baton pass. I don't know if baton pass is allowed in this league. I'm pretty sure it is, but if it isn't, just forget what I just said. But Ambipom is really great. Gives me, as I said before, good normal type, just Mon. 100 base attack, which you wouldn't think is a lot, but you see things like Mew and Victini that are base 100s that still hit extremely hard with the choice band or setup, so I believe Ambipom will be the same way with me. Ambipom is a great Mon, and as it may be underrated, I just was excited to use on this team. So this last pick, it was a little bit cheesy, but I wanted a poison type just because I felt like T-Spikes did good against my team. Even though there's a few Mons that don't really get affected by it, I feel like T-Spikes did a lot against my team. So I wanted a grounded poison type. And I just wanted a good pick that my friend likes. This is a Mon that he loves. And it's Cbhulk, the Arbok. It's not the greatest. 60 HP, 85 attack, 69 defense, 65 special attack, 79 speed def, and then 80 speed. So it's not the absolute greatest, but it does what it can as a tier 5. I feel like it was good low tier power. This thing even has Intimidate. So it can come in on fighting types, which I'm extremely weak to, and intimidate them and then take the hits all day. Also have Shed Skin if I get like Scald Burned or Paralyzed. So that's really great. I can get rid of status. This thing can even be offensive and has setup with Coil. So raise my attack and defense and accuracy. So I won't miss a gunshot. And all my moves will hit super hard. So I really love it. Tell me down below in the comments how you feel about this team. How do you think I would do? Let me see how many weeks this is. I think it's like a 12-week season. Yes, this is a 12-week season, so tell me how you think I'm going to do. You think I'm going to go 6-6, 12-0, 0-12? Probably the 0-12 part. Week 1, we go up against Tony and the Buffalo Drills. Really strong opponent week 1, so I'm going to have to bring my A game against him. Also, thank you to the Odds Are for making the draft analysis slides. I couldn't have done this without you, so thank you for that. Also, thank you for Just Kurt for inviting me into the league and just bringing me into a new league to upload and have fun in. So, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.